Whoa! I believe I believe we're live. It's 1 o'clock. Bang on the button. A shorter countdown than normal. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Sustac Plans Chat Club, where we talk about AI, innovation, and ethics in marketing and business. And I have my good friend Reggie Johnson from Fort Worth, Texas here. Reggie, thank you for getting up at this obscene hour on a Friday morning, and the weekend is here. But we've got a busy session, so we have to go through quite a bit with you guys today. So I'm going to just play another piece of music for you guys, as we always do, from undiscovered artists. Well, this guy's not fully undiscovered. I've played him before, play him again. It's a beautiful song about Ukraine, and Ukraine is in the news. And is wrapped up with AI in all sorts of odd ways with geopolitics of today. So we'll just play The Children of Ukraine by Tim Hain, who's a lovely guy. And full thing at the end, but here it goes for now.
Half of me is in Kiev. Half of me on a train with my daughter, fleeing from the tanks and bombs. Daddy stays to fight the oppressor. This train rumbles into one more station, where the desperate are trying to climb on board. This train is rammed with refugees, and the conductor won't unlock the doors. And there's no more room on this train.
So there is The People or The Children of Ukraine, a beautiful piece by Tim Hain. We played the full thing at the end. We played it before. We put the link into the notes on prsmith.org. So we'll give you all of that information as we progress. So welcome everybody. It's Friday. It's the weekend. We've got a busy session here today. We're going to talk about very quickly about Musk's bid for OpenAI. Then Musk and Vance threatening NATO with withdrawal. So linked to Ukraine in some ways. We've got JD Vance again prioritizing AI growth over safety. That's a bit of a shocker. And we have also then got an international AI declaration, which UK and USA have refused to sign this week. Then on to Stargate. Wouldn't mind talking about the movie, maybe, Reggie, but also Stargate being recommended by Sam Altman for Europe, actually. So we'll touch upon that. I want to then look at a real issue that's going to happen because of this growing divide between America and Europe, it seems, at the moment, and everywhere at the moment, and that is the grand global AI policy. Seems to be a difficult thing, and I've got an example here of Deloitte, the very well respected, one of the big consultancies worldwide, and the USA Deloitte and the UK Deloitte having polarized approaches to, well, we will talk about it, but it's essentially social policies within the group, and which it will link with AI. And we'll also talk about authority and credibility, how AI can help you upgrade your PESO, P-E-S-O, your PESO. Then we finish with, always on a positive note, with some human-centered manifesto, which is becoming more relevant, actually, because of something that happened during the week. And then we have, hopefully Nadio will be able to park his boat and speak to us about AI opportunities from an action plan. He's got an open letter that he's written to the government in response to the government's AI opportunities action plan over here in the UK. And he makes some very, very sensible suggestions to it. And finally, some free AI training that I want to mention to you guys. So let's just kick off very briefly by talking about Mr. Musk again, making a bid for OpenAI. So that has been big news this week, Musk's bid for buying OpenAI. As you know, they've been at loggerheads. Sam Altman himself, he was one of the founders. Musk was one of the founders. Left it because when they switched from being a non-profit company to a non-profit plus a profit company, if you can believe that, that's what they did. Musk left, and you know what he's doing with Donald Trump and co and the government. But here he has a chance to make a bid for OpenAI. Serious money involved, but I do wonder, what's going on behind the scenes there. Would the anti-monopoly legislation not want to stop somebody who owns X/Twitter from owning a massive GPT platform like OpenAI. So we'll have to watch that one. Any thoughts there, Reggie?
It's so hard to know when you've got the kind of allies that he has right now, and the kind of political power that they have, and the kind of authority he's been given over regulatory agencies. It's hard to see how regular laws like that even could still apply to him.
Yeah.
But you're right. Under traditional rules and laws and the reasons why they were created, it does seem like a potential antitrust situation, especially given that they're creating competing products. It would definitely reduce the competitive ness. But also, I mean, Sam Altman kind of laughed this off. I mean, uh, didn't think it was going to work. So I'm not sure exactly what the point of what Musk was doing is, but interesting move.
Yeah, it is. And so we've got to a point where it seems impossible to separate AI from geopolitics, the way it's going. Staying with geopolitics, so there's Musk, geopolitics and geoeconomics and AI, they're all bundled up together, as you can see, with Musk making a bid for OpenAI, but also him, seems to me, turning the Washington government into an AI-driven or a robot-driven government. But then we've got Musk and Vance threatening NATO with withdrawal if EU penalizes X. Now, I found this kind of shocking that that Musk would come out and say something like this. So the idea that if there's too many regulations, or if there's penalties going to be applied to X, well then there will be a penalty to pay. So this is pure commercial, you might say, a penalty to X because of breach of regulations or whatever. Well, if they penalize X, then the US might just withdraw from NATO. And you think, how could that be? How could that be allowed to happen? But
Yeah,
that's what they
that's
said.
a huge conflict of interest. I don't understand how any of this is legal and there aren't checks and balances on this. I mean, if you own a company and you have a friend who's given you political power so that you can say, well, if you fine my company for breaking your laws, we're going to take our political moves and get out of like NATO, which is really shown itself to be important with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Incredibly important. If it weren't for Joe Biden pulling together support and solidarity of the European countries through NATO, it's very possible that Ukraine wouldn't have been able to put up the defense. So, I mean, that someone could come and say, if you're going to find my personal interest, I mean, that's like saying, if you give me a parking ticket, the US is going to attack your country. I mean, just, it's
Yeah,
ridiculous. It's
it, it, it,
cartoon.
it is cartoon. It's just extraordinary that this is happening, but it is happening, and we have to deal with it. Staying with this sort of theme of geopolitics, we've got J.D. Vance, the U.S. Vice President, prioritizing AI growth over AI safety. Now, this you'd have to scratch your head again and say, no, that couldn't be. Now, this is Wayne's area. Wayne's not with us today. He's had to pull out last minute, but we'll get him talking about this again. But the gist of it is that the US Vice President J.D. Vance told world leaders this week that AI was, quote, an opportunity that the Trump administration will not squander. Okay. And then he went on to say that pro-growth AI policies should be prioritized over safety. Now, this is one of these statements, I'm just going to repeat it again, that the American Vice President, J.D. Vance, said that pro-growth AI policies should be prioritized over safety regulations and so on. It just takes away everything we've been talking about for the last few years. So Vance told delegates in Paris that too much regulation of artificial intelligence could kill a transformative industry just as it's taking off. I mean, you can get the logic of some of that. Some regulation sometimes can be a bit tedious and slow growth down, but we do need regulation in this area. You made a great statement. We were having a little chat beforehand, Reggie, you and I, before we went live on air, and you said something to me there that I thought was kind of fascinating. The way that you wouldn't imagine, years ago, you just wouldn't imagine that this kind of thing could happen. And now it's rolling out in front of you. It's it's left, right, and center. It seems that they're intertwined and can't be separated. So there you have it. Pro-growth more important than safety, and we've been talking about the importance of safety for all sorts of reasons. But I think what we've got to do, if you don't mind me suggesting this, Reggie, is we have to keep alerting people to what's going on, and when there's an opportunity to stand up and say your piece, say it, and not just give up and that it's all over, game, set and match. Okay, so that's just a kind of a taster of what's going on around us this week. We've also had in Paris another incident, which was an international AI declaration of the UK and USA refusing to sign the International AI Declaration. Now, this was quite surprising, and it's not really because we've got the US and UK, agreeing to everything that Mr. Trump wants. But it did happen. So just let me open this one up and let you be aware. So that the International AI Declaration was signed. We had a lot of countries kind of put their hands up and say, yeah, we're up for this. But now it's been called, or it was named by BBC Zoe Kleinman, that AI will not be co-opted into a tool for authoritarian censorship, was what BBC said. So the UK and US haven't signed an international agreement on AI at the Global Summit in Paris this week. The statement was signed by dozens of countries, including France, China, India, big boys, but they pledge an open, inclusive, and ethical approach to the technology development. So the people that signed up for want AI to be open, inclusive, and ethical. Now, the UK government didn't sign this. The US government didn't sign it either, as expected, but the UK government didn't. Now, why? They said that they weren't able to add its name to this to this declaration because of national security and global governance. That's a bit vague to me, but so it was said by Andrew Dudfield, the head of AI at fact-checking organization called Full Fact. And he said that the government's decision not to sign the Paris communique put all of the safety stuff in jeopardy. And by refusing to sign today's International AI Action Statement, the UK government risks undercutting its hard-won credibility as a world leader for safe, ethical, and trustworthy AI innovation, he said. So quite sad. I came across another quote from a body called UKAI, a trade body representing business working in the sector across the country, and they said it was the right decision. And they said, while UKAI agrees that being environmentally responsible is important, we question how to balance this responsibility with the growing needs of the AI industry for more energy, for example. Now, this is said by its chief executive, Tim Flagg. So I had a little look at Tim. I looked up Tim and found he's the co-founder of this industry body. It's 6 months old. It's got 7 associated members. And, I don't know who or what is funding that or how that's working, but UKAI have been picked up and put in the press. So relatively new body. So anyways, they cautiously welcome the government's refusal. They would say that, wouldn't they? And they want to work closely with their US partners. So, what does the agreement actually say? Well, 60 countries signed this document, and it sets out the ambition to reduce digital divides by promoting AI accessibility and ensuring that text development is transparent, safe, and secure and trustworthy. At the moment, it doesn't tick those boxes, so it needs some regulations, in my opinion. And secondly, it makes AI sustainable for people and the planet. Now, I'm telling you now, water and electricity, not just chips, but water and electricity will be major issues as big tech demands more to run AI in particular. And, already we have water wars in various places around the world. And so there will be cases of no water for the people. And the question will be, well, do you give the water to the big data centers and AI and big tech? Now, that'll be brushed under the table. Nobody will want to talk about it. But, that last plea in this communique was making AI sustainable for people and the planet. Well, by not signing it, I don't think we're making it more sustainable for the planet.
Well, but that doesn't that tie into what JD Vance said? I mean, we have to prioritize the AI industry over over safety. And think about it. Who is the AI industry? Well, it's the people that profit from it. That's the AI industry. They haven't yet been proven that it can provide a product that's going to benefit all people, especially not equally. I
Yeah,
mean, you don't want to get political in these things, but you can't help it because now we've seen everything that's happening with the US government with AI and the AI industry is for the benefit of a very small number of people, the
yeah,
personal benefit of a small number of people. So this is infecting everything. JD Vance can say that because he's not worried about his safety. I mean, he's got the money and the resources to be able to, go and live in a bunker in New Zealand like all these tech giants
yeah,
have,
yeah,
but it's the safety of the peasants that he's not concerned about.
yeah,
It's not, and so it's a matter of the benefit of the AI industry. He means Altman, he means himself, he means Elon Musk, he means
yeah.
Donald Trump. The small number of people is making decisions purely for their own benefit, but trying to make everybody else think it's for theirs. But I think it's pretty transparent, and I hope that's not infecting UK as well. But I
Well,
don't know what connections and ties there are there.
well, the reason that was given by the UK government why they didn't sign it was they said we felt the declaration didn't provide enough practical clarity on global governance, nor sufficiently address harder questions around national security and the challenge AI poses to it. And I think that's a lost opportunity for the UK because these things will never be perfect and 100% comprehensive, but to reject it out of hand, goes back to the drawing board. They're going to get those people together again to try and redraft it, and so they've missed an opportunity there. But the thing that you said this morning, when we were offline, just chatting the two of us, was that AI now in Washington is integrating itself throughout everything, military, nuclear, bombs, warheads, being controlled by or being controlled, managed, integrated with AI. Yet we have autonomous vehicles that can't get it right. You gave me an example of something that kept going
It
wrong.
was they can't even get right the drive-through at McDonald's.
The
They can't get
drive-through
people's
at
orders right.
McDonald's.
And yet we want to put them in charge of national security and nuclear weapons, but they can't get your drive-through order right. I'm
Yeah,
not trying to diss on AI. AI's
yeah,
got a lot of potential, but it is not ready for prime time, especially on a level of AI infrastructure
yeah,
for national security. Did you
yeah.
want me to? Sorry, go ahead.
That's fine. But that's the gist of it. So basically, as we said, Vance is prioritizing AI growth over AI safety. In the middle of all of that, we've got this international AI declaration, which the UK have not signed to. USA, we didn't expect them to. So that's a bit worrying that there was a moment that most of the world could have come together there. There is wonderful potential with AI to do all sorts of fantastic things. And what we want is to be channeled into that space. And in the world of marketing and business, we'd like it to also to accelerate business and grow business and help businesses, startups, and all the rest of it, and have economic vibrance and so on and so forth. The American school of thought seems to be no regulation; it slows things down. European would be we want some safety in there. So yes, it may slow things down, but it'll be safer for everybody. So that's an issue that's not going to go away. And I'm going to give you an example of Deloitte in a few minutes of two completely polarized sections of Deloitte USA versus Deloitte UK, how the policies are clashing. But before we do that, I just wanted to touch on something that came up again during the week. Now, this is Stargate, the Grand AI Plan. Reggie, what's this all about? Stargate. What is Stargate?
Well, okay, so Stargate, it was a science fiction movie in 1994 that was Stargate. The Stargate was a portal to other worlds, and fascinating things happened there. And so they've named this project Stargate. It was actually created in 2022 by OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle, but it was announced by Donald Trump. I think on the day after his inauguration or the day of his inauguration. It's a $500 billion effort to investment in AI infrastructure. This is where we're talking about getting AI to help with national security and everything else is part of the nation. They're going all in again. Technology that has not been proven capable of doing the drive-through window at McDonald's. and it's got all the big players involved in it, including the United Arab Emirates Sovereign Wealth Fund. So they promised $100 billion investment. This is coming from Forbes. Not a great deal is known at the moment, Forbes says, but it marks a defining moment when artificial intelligence moves from being merely a technological pursuit to becoming a cornerstone of national strategy. So it's large-scale infrastructure named for this science fiction movie for a portal to other worlds. And there was a moment where Altman was in an interview in Europe, in Berlin, and he was asked about well, he was criticizing, actually, right there, kind of a little bit veiled, and you could say trying to be diplomatic, the restraints, the safety restraints on AI in Europe and the EU. And he said that he genuinely believed the European people wanted AI and deserved it, but they would have to decide for themselves. And the woman asked him about compliance and about complying with EU law. And he said, "We will comply with the law." And there was a pause and some laughter and a cough. And it was interesting because you could just kind of tell that everybody kind of wanted to burst out laughing.
Well, you could hear that. I've seen the video, and we'll put a link to it on puresmith.org. You could see it on the video. It's a stunning moment, actually. It's a pregnant pause. Then there's an awkward cough and an awkward bit of laughter. And Altman's looking around at people, and he's they're not buying what he's saying. And then he goes on to say, "We'd love to do a Stargate Europe."
Yes, we'd love to do a Stargate Europe. And the problem with doing all this AI infrastructure, especially when it's not ready for prime time, but even if it was more evolved, is what have we seen with digital blitzkriegs? I mean, we saw what happened when when Russia used their hacking abilities to take out infrastructure in Ukraine. Think about this on a national scale, especially when we've got nuclear weapons and national security connected to AI infrastructure. It's just a matter of it's almost like he's saying he wants Europe to be. I think the commentary from one of our influencers, Pascal Hetzold, said that he's saying he wants Europe to be more vulnerable to an authoritarian dictatorship using a digital blitzkrieg.
Yeah. Wow. And a blitzkrieg is like really. Well, I looked it up officially on ChatGPT. I didn't go to my trusted dictionaries here, but it was just quicker to do ChatGPT. And the use of advanced technology such as AI, cyber warfare, automated systems, and real-time data analytics to dominate a battlefield, a market, or a competitive space with speed, precision, and overwhelming impact. So, so there's a guy called Pascal Hetzold, who's a good writer actually on LinkedIn. We'll put a link to this in the notes again. But he says, "Let me translate this for you. Sam Altman might be asking whether you can please make the EU more suitable for a digital blitzkrieg by an authoritarian regime." I'd add to that and say by a third party, external.
Yeah.
Third party.
I don't think it necessarily would have to be an authoritarian regime. That's a good point, by a third party. And Jeffrey Funk, another influencer on LinkedIn who looks critically at AI, like thoughtful inquiry into it, shared an article from The Verge earlier on that talked about how they said that they thought Stargate was not terribly realistic because the amount of funds available versus what's been promised don't line up from the companies that have promised funds. He said, "None of this looks or feels right. OpenAI is bleeding billions annually despite its rapid growth, and its compute cost keeps ballooning with no sign of stable business model in sight. It's losing money even by charging customers $200 per month." So, I mean, he talks a little bit more about this. It was just from an article from The Verge. And the concern is Stargate even realistic? So, we'll see if it gets off the ground. But if it's underfunded and unreliable, we've got trouble for national infrastructure.
Yeah, it is a worry. Okay, we got Nadio with us. We'll come back to you in a minute, Nadio. We were just going to kind of finish this piece on that we mentioned about Deloitte and UK and US offices going in different directions. And there are odds over the formal role of diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, that Donald Trump is kind of obliterating as we speak. And lots of companies like Deloitte US have put a sunset, or they've sunset the company DEI reporting system. So the kind of end of no more reporting on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And they've ordered everyone to remove pronouns for their email signatures, etc., etc., etc. But the UK CEO Richard Houston has stood up and he said, no, 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 no. And he's confirmed to his staff that its diversity initiatives would remain critical to our firm. So Deloitte US, the latest major organization to end diversity commitments, they're following suit of Google, Amazon, Meta, Accenture. It just seems to have gone backwards in time here.
Well,
But anyways,
but there is the part of that is that Trump has gone after not just government organizations, but anybody who has any kind of dealings with the government and government funding, and told them he will take away any government funding or cooperation if they don't scale back or pull back their DEI initiatives. So I'm not saying the companies are blameless, but some of them are not just doing it because that's the moral zeitgeist in America. They're doing it because of threats from the Trump administration of losing funding and big contracts.
yeah. Okay, stay with big contracts. I'm going to skip Human Centered Manifesto. We'll come back on that next week. But I want to go to Nadia here because this is directly relevant to what we're talking about, the opportunity. So the British government had an AI Opportunities Action Plan. So can you tell us about this and your reaction to it, Nadia?
Yeah, it was published about 3 weeks ago now. And I suppose, in short, I welcome it. I think the plan itself was very well written, and I think any of us three on this call would have probably drafted something very similar, going by the conversations we've been having for the last year. But I do see that there's gaps in it, and if you'd like, I'll point those out.
Yeah.
So the things that I'd like to see more of is I'd like to see an independent overviewer. I don't trust politics. I don't trust politicians. It's too short term. It's a function of society that doesn't work. We need to move on and stop leaving such major things to government.
So what did you do? Did you wrote a letter?
I wrote a letter. I wrote an open letter. I was very lazy.
To whom?
I put it on LinkedIn. I put it on LinkedIn and said, there's my open letter. Anybody jump in. Matt Hancock joined the AI Collective immediately afterwards. Reggie, you might remember, Matt was our health minister. And there's been other conversations around it. To be fair, I haven't noticed, no one's come bashing my door down to talk to me about it. I talked about having digital mayors. I
like that. I like the digital mayors. Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, I think every location.
Yeah.
I mean, we have mayors, don't we, Reggie? I'm not sure what you've got over there in the States, but we've got, I think mayors as well. I know in Italy, I'm part Italian. The mayor is very, supreme. France, Spain. Our mayors in the UK, in my experience, are not so dynamic. Short term, it's 1 year, it's a representation. But I'd like to see digital mayors. I'd like to see somebody who I'd like to see a driving license. I'd like to see us all attaining a certain standard.
An AI driving license.
Yes, and then we're building an LMS at the moment to develop that. But I'd like to see a standard. We all have a standard. The mayors are responsible for making sure that those standards are achieved in their locality. They are responsible for seeing the implementation, the democratization of free and fair access to responsible AI. It won't happen on its own. Society will not democratize free and fair access to AI.
I think you're right. And what I really like, we've got a minute to wrap up here. What I really like about part of your open letter was the leveraging community structures for national AI adoption. And you've included their post offices, libraries, and pubs and community halls. So tell us just in a minute, what would you want them to be doing?
I'm a big believer, Paul. We have a lot of infrastructure around the world. In the UK is my home, and so we've got post offices in every major location. We've got common places. You've got schools. They're empty half the time. I think the States are very good at occupying their school campuses, but in the UK, it's a relatively new concept. Let's open a school after 5 o'clock and put some AI training courses in there, etc., etc.
And you've listed post offices could host AI workshops, libraries could provide access to AI learning tools, because they do a lot of internet stuff in the UK in libraries now, which is great. And libraries are fantastic places, really. But I like the idea of bringing AI learning tools into libraries, pubs, and community halls. I think that's a cracker. I was actually thinking about talking to my local pub, saying, "Hey, my mate's doing something in this space. Do you want to be the pub amongst the 10 other pubs in this area to be known as the AI place?"
Yeah,
So you suggest community halls and pubs could hold local innovation events. I think that's a cracking idea.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a sports facility here. You've been to my boat, Paul. You know where I live. And there's a massive sports facility that is only occupied 10% of the time.
Yeah.
You know, let's put an AI learning hub in there.
Yeah.
Bring more people to the bar. Sell more coffees.
Yeah.
Bring parents and kids together.
Pubs are struggling in the UK and probably worldwide, but there's more and more people giving up alcohol. It's a very fashionable thing over here. And pubs are very slow to react to expand their menu, their offerings of interesting drinks for non-boozers. But coupled with this new function, it could be very powerful. So we'll put a copy or a link to your post in the notes.
Thank you.
I'm going to stick in the notes right now. I'm going to stick in where we put the stuff. So I'm not leaving it publicly available anymore. I'm having a bit of debate about that, but there's the link where we'll post. Give me a couple of hours and we'll put the notes and a link to Nadio's stuff up there as well. We're going to finish now because it's just 1 minute past 1. Going to finish with we'll highlight each week for you some free AI training. So this is a piece I've come across. It's called Transitioning to Intelligent Retail, and it's by the Financial Times and PwC. So we should have some people who know what they're talking about. It's on Thursday the 20th for an hour in the morning, 9 o'clock. I'll put the link to it as well. So if you're in retail, this could be an interesting free 50-minute discussion about intelligent retail, courtesy of AI. So I'll put that up there as well. You can have a look at. We will have to come back to human-centered manifesto and business because it is a bit gloomy sometimes. And we'll come back to Mo Gaudat, the great Egyptian speaker, talking about positivity. We have to be positive. We have to stay involved in these discussions. Joke, folks, we've run out of time. Guess what? So I'm going to wish you all farewell. We'll see you all next week. Thanks very much, Nadio, Reggie. Good to see you. We'll be back next week. We'll play this out now again with the same track that we started with, and that's, Ukraine's in the press a lot right now. So here is The Children of Ukraine by the wonderful Tim Hain, a fantastic artist. Have a look at any of Tim Hain YouTube, and you'll find this most amazing stuff. He's the guy who created Blegay, the concept of blues and reggae. Anyways, enough. Have a great weekend. Here's The Children of Ukraine. We'll leave it play out the full thing.
Thank you. Thanks, Reggie.
Half of me is in Kiev. Half of me on a train with my daughter, fleeing from the tanks and bombs. Daddy stays to fight the oppressor. This train rumbles into one more station where the desperate are trying to climb on board. This train is rammed with refugees, and the conductor won't unlock the doors. And there's no more room on this train. No more room for no more pain. The world is watching, weeping for the children of Ukraine. Fear and anger is all I feel. I didn't want to leave. Homeland, husband, mother and father, not knowing how we'll be received when we step off this train to anywhere. People still matter. People care. With only the bags that we carry in our hands, driven from a sovereign land. And there's no more room on this train. No more room for no more pain. And there's no more room on this train.
Greetings from Kyiv. We are Ukrainian musicians. The war has changed our life. Our band will play our music in Kyiv. The city is not surrender.
World is praying, praying, praying. Oh, please, just keep praying for the children of Ukraine.
We are not afraid to play under the bombs. Through music, we want to show the world that Ukraine is strong.
See you, Reggie. All the best.